Hello and welcome to Diabetes Connections in the News. I'm Stacey Sims, and these are the top diabetes stories and headlines of the past 7 days. As always, I'm going to link up my sources in the Facebook comments where we are live and in the show notes at diabetes-connections.com when this airs as a podcast, so you can read more if you want on your own schedule. In the News is brought to you by Real Good Foods. Find their entree bowls and all of their great products in your local grocery store, Target, or Costco. Our top story this week: Medtronic has expanded a recall of its Mini Med 600 series insulin pumps to include nearly 500,000 devices. This is an FDA Class 1 recall, the most serious type, because the pumps may deliver incorrect insulin doses. The recall was first announced in 2019 for just two models. Medtronic now says it will replace any Mini Med 600 series insulin pump that has a clear retainer ring with one that has the updated black retainer ring at no charge. That's even if there is no damage and regardless of the warranty status of the pump. There is a lot more to this, including directions on how to check if your pump may be affected and who to call. I'm going to put all of that here in the Facebook comments and in the show notes. If you use Medtronic, please check. Enrollment is underway for the first pediatric trials for Afrezza inhalable insulin. This will involve children ages 4 to 17 living with type 1 or type 2 diabetes. It's called the Inhale 1 phase 3 trial. They're going to look at changes in A1C after 26 weeks and then changes in fasting glucose after another 26 weeks. If you're interested, we've got the link for more info in this study and to learn about enrollment. Afrezza was approved for adults back in 2014. Last week, we told you about the glucagon emergency kit recall from Lilly. Well, Reuters is reporting that the kits were made in a factory previously cited for quality control violations, including several involving the glucagon product. Lilly had received a report of a patient who experienced seizures even after being injected, a sign that glucagon was not potent enough to work. The company says the product failure might be related to its manufacturing process without elaborating. A spokesperson declined to say whether Lilly has received other reports of adverse effects related to the glucagon kits. Separately, Lilly is facing federal criminal investigation into alleged manufacturing irregularities involving another of its U.S. factories in New Jersey. Reuters is following both stories, and of course, we will too. Big new report on adults with type 1 called a forgotten population in this write up. The consensus statement covers diagnosis, goals, targets, schedule of care, self management education, lifestyle, glucose monitoring, insulin therapy, hypoglycemia, psychosocial care, and much more. This is a joint statement from the American Diabetes Association and the European Association for the Study of Diabetes. Their last consensus report on type 2 diabetes has been highly influential, these researchers say, so they recognize the need to develop a comparable report specifically addressing type 1 diabetes in adults. Adults with type 2 on statin therapy may see worsening diabetes symptoms. Important caution: these researchers are quick to say association does not prove causation. No patient should just stop taking their statins based on this study. These are cholesterol lowering medications with brand names like Lipitor and Crestor. Statin users had a 37% higher risk for diabetes progression, including extremely high blood sugar levels and elevated rates of disease complications. Nearly half of adults with type 2 also have high cholesterol, and many of them do stop taking statins due to this kind of thing. But that can increase your risk for heart attack or stroke. So definitely talk to your doctor before making any changes. More to come, but first, I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors who helps make Diabetes Connections possible, and that is a Real Good Foods, where the mission is be real good. They have so many great products out there right now. Nutritious foods, grain-free, high in protein, never added sugar from real ingredients. The new entree bowls are really terrific. Chicken burrito, cauliflower mash and braised beef, lemon chicken, lasagna. They keep adding to the menu line. Super easy to find. Buy them online or store near you. Find that with their locator right on the website. I'll put a link in the comments here, and as always at diabetes-connections.com. Back to the news now, and DreamMed Diabetes gets FDA approval to expand their platform to people with type 1 and type 2. It's called Advisor Pro. It's the first decision support system that has been cleared to assist healthcare providers in the management of diabetes patients who use insulin, as well as CGMs and meters. Now, we spoke to these folks on the podcast last year, and they say Advisor Pro aims to solve the massive worldwide shortage of endocrinologists by empowering primary care clinicians to be able to provide expert level endocrinology care to diabetes patients. The company's founder says next step to develop and extend the technology to cover all injectable or oral medications for diabetes. And a really interesting look at who's adopting newer diabetes technology. This is from an article over at Diatribe where they feature a research study showing that roughly 55% of people with diabetes had positive, open attitudes toward technology. However, another 20% had negative attitudes and did not trust technology. While the remaining 25% either didn't want the data, didn't want to wear a device on their body, or had a very high level of diabetes distress related to using devices. And when they focused on people with type 2, the uptake of technology was actually lowest among people 18 to 25. This group also had the highest levels of diabetes distress, the highest A1C levels, and many reported they just didn't like having a device on their body. These researchers say providers need to find a way to avoid making patients feel guilty about whatever their choice of technology is, as well as watching out for their own negative judgments for those who use devices but don't achieve what they call near perfect glucose control. All right. Well, please join me wherever you get podcasts for our next episode. The one out right now is all about the film Pay or Die, an upcoming documentary about insulin access and affordability. And that is in the news for this week. If you like it, please share it. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you back here soon.